It is so good to be back with you, and gosh, it's so good to see so many of us back here in person. Looks like we're at allowable capacity. As happy as I am to be up here, I feel very conflicted because the homily that I've prepared for you today is really going to present you with a challenge. Because today's the day where we hear Jesus tell us that if you do want to be my disciples, you must deny yourselves, pick up your cross, and follow me. So that's where I'm going to take us today. Are you ready for this challenge? Thank you. As Christians, we're taught that God has a plan for each one of our lives. And as Christians, we are taught that we are to put trust in that plan. Now, that's not hard to do most of the time when life is good and things are going well. However, that's not how things always work, is it? No, life is full of setbacks. Oftentimes they're little ones. We can deal with them pretty easily. However, every once in a while, life will deliver a devastating blow to you. Not just something that disrupts your normal routine, but something that will turn your world completely upside down. Something that'll take you to the low spot of your life. I think one could argue that that might be where we find Jesus today in his walk of life. He's headed for Jerusalem, and he's very much aware of the brutality, the sheer torture, and the ultimate crucifixion that he faces. The time of testing for Jesus was at hand. But he also knew that this was the will of the Father, and that his final step on earth here was going to be his resurrection. And that for Jesus, resurrection came by way of the cross. Now, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but I found it really interesting. Gospel writer Matthew chose to use an interesting word in the first verse of the reading today because he sets up the situation. He's showing that Jesus is telling his disciples of things to come. So he's obviously speaking to them. Yet Matthew writes that from that point on, Jesus began to show his disciples of things to come. And I think Matthew's making the point that Jesus is going to once again teach us by his example. Because he knows that we too are going to bear crosses in our lives. And while none of us will suffer or endure what Jesus had to endure, we're going to have situations in our life that are going to bring us to the lowest points in our life as well. Cancer diagnosis, death of a child, lives being shattered by divorce. I think we all know that if we made a list of bad things that happen to good people, that would be a very long list. And being in the diaconate, I get exposed to a lot of people that are at that low point in their lives. And when bad things do happen, especially things that defy any sense of reason or logic, a mother of 3 tragically killed in a car accident, for example, things that make no sense at all to us, it does cause us to question God's plan for our life. You know what? I think that's understandable. We heard a little bit about that from Jeremiah today. Jeremiah had just been flogged by the authorities. And why? Because he went to the people that God told him to go to, and he spoke the very words that God told him to say. He was upset. I don't blame him. You heard it in his voice. Lord, you've duped me. I've had it with you. You know what? I don't even want to say your name anymore. But as we also heard, after he came to his senses, he did return to God. But you know what? Some of us don't. I know I've heard more than one person in my life denounce their belief in God, and it's because something tragic happened in their lives. And they would reason, I just can't believe in a God that would allow this to happen or that to happen. But as Catholic Christians, we can look to the example of Jesus because we're never going to understand why these things happen as long as we're here on this side of the clouds. But if we look at what happened to Jesus, We can use that as an example. I mean, was there anything ever more tragic than what we did to Jesus Christ, the very Son of God? Was there ever anyone more innocent or undeserving of what he endured? So, when we face the low points of our lives, what's important for us is to recognize them for what they are. These are our times of testing. And the answer is not to abandon God. The answer is to abandon ourselves to God. Like Jesus said, deny yourself and say, yes, Lord. Yes, I will follow you because I know where you're going to take me. And Lord, if this is my Jerusalem, if this is my cross of salvation, I not only pick it up, Lord, but I embrace it, just as you did. And with your help, I too will carry it to the end. Now, this was the first of 3 passion predictions made by Jesus. And I think what's critical for us to know is that in each one, he not only revealed his imminent crucifixion, but he also revealed his impending resurrection. The sufferings of Jesus were not done in vain. His temporary suffering here on earth led him to eternal glory in heaven. You know what? The same holds true for us. So, like I said at the onset, this is a difficult challenge to accept. But we're at the point in Scripture in Matthew's Gospel where he's telling us what the conditions of discipleship are. And this is one of them. If you do want to be my disciples, you must deny yourselves, take up your cross, and follow me.